Hi, this is Chris with Destination Art, and today I am doing a little bit of an experiment with paper. So I have these 4x6 postcards that I like to paint on. They're 140 pound, and I believe they're probably most likely cold pressed. So I use that, and then I'm putting them in a photo album. So it's a 4x6 photo album, and I'm just able to store my paintings in there, pretty much to track my YouTube progress, also to sort of, there you go, track my progress and just see how I do. So like this was just a couple weeks ago, and then I watched a couple more videos, and then I developed a different type of style. So anyway, so I can track that progression in my photo album, which is pretty exciting. But today I have the 140 pound 4x6 cold press Strathmore watercolor postcards. I have a 300 pound watercolor sheet that I broke into, this is probably a 16th. It's probably 5x7 or close to that. Anyway, and then I also have about some Fabriano hot press. So this is 25% cotton, 140 pounds hot press paper. So I'm going to try a little experiment just to see if I can paint sort of the same painting on each one of these and then compare the results. And hello, welcome to the voiceover. So I'm actually playing around with time lapse on my phone as well. So these clips are done with time lapse, and it's actually kind of fun. So I decided to draw a scene, flowers, and then transfer that. So I drew it on a piece of just copy paper. Then I tried to use the window, to transfer it and copy it, but use the window as a light box. But it was too light, my pencil sketch, so I went back with some marker and then I did that. But the 300 pound paper totally couldn't do that, so that's why I put graphite on the back and tried to just transfer it that way. So my drawings, I don't know why I'm out of breath. I just walked up the stairs. Anyway, sorry. Voiceover challenges. Let me breathe for a second. All right, I'm a huge knucklehead. Anyway, okay, so I started on the 140 pound paper. Then I tried to do the same type of painting technique and colors. And then I moved on to the 300 pound paper, and then I moved on to the 140 pound hot pressed paper. Now, the reason why I got that is because I've been watching a lot of Peter Sheeler videos, if that's how you pronounce his name. Anyway, he uses hot pressed paper a lot, and I like the results, but I'm not sure. For florals, I think I need a little more practice because it's definitely easier to get a watermark on the hot press paper. So my plan was to have a muted sort of blurry background with just a little bit of sky color, which is what I'm painting in there. And then I did that for all three of the paintings. So I just finished up the watercolor postcard, which was 140 pound cold press. And now I'm doing the 300 pound cold press background on this one. And all three of these papers do behave quite differently, and painting on the 300 pound paper is kind of a joy. The water absorbs sort of faster. I'll have to do a little bit more experimentation to know the exact differences between the two of them, but it seemed like it grabbed the paint. And you'll see at the end, I have the 300 pound paper is the bigger painting, so I have it in the center when I show the other ones. And I think the colors might be a little more vibrant on that. So anyway, it's a joy to paint with. And since it was also cold press, there is a lot of texture associated with it. So dry brushing is a little bit easier because you just have more texture to begin with. Anyway, I think blending is also a little bit more enjoyable because of the way the water is absorbed by the paper. So those were the two of those that I just did, and now I'm working on the hot press paper, which I decided to get a little bit of tape and tape that sucker down because I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to react with the water. So I did find that when you first put the paint and the water down, it really does seem to pool on top quite a bit, which means that there's plenty of time for you to adjust and move things, but it was a little bit harder to I guess those blends, which like you're trying to blend out the edge with some clear water. So anyway, I'm not exactly sure, but it was fun, and I'm definitely going to enjoy painting on it in the future. I did feel like the sky was a little bit more intense with this one. I'm not sure if I just mixed up darker color with it or if it was just the paint application. So I would suggest getting some for yourself and practicing and seeing how this works. I really did like this this experiment that I did. So there's the backgrounds for all three of them. I was happy that they sort of looked similar to each other, and if you're doing this a lot, I think that you develop if I'm doing a lot, I develop a better process. But anyway, moving on. Now I am working on the stems, and I used a couple of different techniques for the stems and the leaves. And first time I put down dark color and then used some lighter wash water combination to spread it out. And then the second time I used a lighter wash first and then dropped in some dark color. But it's not the focus of the painting, so anyway, I'm just going to skip over that and show you the results of the three different paintings that, or how they turned out for that. There they are. So that's the cold press, the 300 pound, and then the hot press. All right, now I moved on, and since I'm painting these in stages and I'm letting them dry between steps, which is why I moved from one to the other, my cats are in here and they're fighting with each other. Okay, so now I decided to use kind of a light periwinkle blue wash in the center of each of the flowers and on the flower bud. And I did that on all three. Here I am working on the the watercolor postcard. I'll get this right one of these days, I swear. Okay, anyway. Then moving on to the 300 pound. Moving on to the 300 pound paper. Once again, I love that paper. It's so much fun to paint on. You just put the paint on and it spreads so nice. Anyway, and then finally the hot press paper, working on that one. And once again, the water tends to float on top of the paper for just a moment. So a lot longer than you would expect it to with the cold press or the 300 pound. So anyway, still very interesting experiment. Totally recommend doing this. And here is the three paintings at this stage where I've just done the interior of each of the paintings. It's a little off on the side. I apologize for that. So anyway, so this is the way the three of them look at this stage. Oh, look, I was smart and moved everything. Anyway, I think it's kind of fun. There was no contrast between the flowers and the background, so I needed to push things a little bit more. And so I did go in and I started with a brighter purple, actually, is what I tried to do. And this time I was just building up layers for each of the petals. So I just used, and this time instead of coming from the inside of the petal out, I went from the outside of the petal in. And here is the result of doing that on all three of these paintings. I also added just a touch of orange in the center, and then I did go back in with some really bright kind of purpley pink on just a couple of the petals and brought that in. So here's a comparison of all three of the paintings. You'll see the hot press is on the right, and then the cold press, no, the 300 pound is in the center, and then there's the cold press. Anyway, you can see the colors are all just a little bit different. This is the cold press 140 pound. Here is the 300 pound cold press. I love that paper, adore that paper. And then finally, here is the hot press. You can see how the blue up in their sky area is just different, but yet some of the flower colors are just a little more vibrant. Anyway, love this experiment. Totally recommend it. Please like and subscribe. Love you guys. Go out and paint something. All right, have a great day.